Football for the University of Alabama program kicking off on Tuesday, March 20th. And while everyone is transitioning from basketball to the gridiron game, we're live, locked and loaded for this edition of shows on In My Own Words, the podcast, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Stephen M. Smith, Alabama basketball, and head coach Avery Johnson in year 3 doing exactly what it intended on doing, which was making the NCAA tournament. Crimson Tide got into the big dance and even won a game in the round of 64, knocking off Virginia Tech 86-83 prior to losing to top-seeded Villanova Wildcats. And even though the season did not end in the way Crimson Tide fans would have liked to, with the way Johnson's been recruiting and with the talent returning for next season, Alabama basketball trending in the right direction. However, as I've stated, Nick Saban, his coaching staff, and the players return to Thomas Drew Field on Tuesday for the start of spring practice. Also in the upcoming 2018 college football season, Alabama looking to win its 18th national championship in program history. If you look at all the news and notes, conversation, information going on in regards to position battles, what to look forward to in spring ball, everything kind of simmers all down to the impending quarterback race, quarterback battle, quarterback conversation between rising junior Jalen Hurts and rising sophomore Tua Tagovailoa. On March 2nd, ESPN's Chris Lowe got a chance to talk to Nick Saban, hoping to get some information, hoping Saban would kind of tip his hand, kind of give a little bit into, would he name a starting quarterback early, would he reveal somebody, and we all know how Nick Saban is, going to keep things close to the vest, very reserved, keeps all of his cards stacked in one deck. Not going to give out anything unless it's on his own terms. He basically told Chris Lowe, look, Alabama is looking to find a role for both quarterbacks. They want to play both guys, especially if both guys can play winning football. Saban added with, we've won with both guys, and our players respect both quarterbacks. Nick Saban, the type of guy that will not give up any ground, surrender any information, give up nothing unless it's on his own terms. He knows, and every Alabama fan with common sense knows, if Nick was to go out here first day of spring ball and say, look guys, I'm naming Jalen Hurts as the starter, you can kiss Tua Tagovailoa goodbye. He's leaving, he's going somewhere else, he's transferring. The same thing if you was to name Double T in the morning as the starter, Jalen Hurts packing up his grip, I'm gone, going elsewhere to find another place where I can improve my draft stock. Nick Saban wants to see both quarterbacks hungry, both quarterbacks compete, both quarterbacks push each other, so that deep in the fall camp, when he's ready to finally make that move, he'll make that move. But even with understanding what Nick Saban does, I know a lot of Bama fans will say, I don't question Coach Nick. He's the one making $11.1 million. It's not me. We pay that man to make all the right decisions. He's not steered us wrong. Despite the fact that a lot of Alabama fans say this, and yes, this is true, you have got to be torn by the situation, and here's why. Despite the fact that you understand, for the Tide fans that were either at the site of a title game between Alabama and Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, or you were at home watching the game, you got to see firsthand a bird's eye view of the epitome of what Saban talks about when he says grabbing the team by the horns, winning the team, galvanizing the troops. Tua Tagovailoa in the second half of that game did that. And if winning a national championship doesn't get the team behind you, if winning the national championship doesn't galvanize the team, if winning the national championship does not grab the bull by the horns, I don't know what does. He comes in the second half of the biggest game, and I understand people are going to say, Well, Steven, it was just one half of football. Yes, true. But it was one half of the most important game of the year. All the chips are on the deck. All the cards are on the table. All the marbles are in the row. Every single cliche term you can think of. This is rubber meet the road. This is either Nick Saban wins a title or Kirby Smart snatches one from Nick Saban. Score is 13-0. Dogs barking in Mercedes-Benz. Georgia fans saying, we got him. We got him. We got him. We finna punk out Nick Saban. We got Kirby Smart. He's doing his thing. We got Jake Fromm. He's whipping that ball downfield. We got Jalen Hurts on his heels. There's nothing big, bad Bama can do. And what does Nick Saban do? Flips the script on the game. Throws out the Hawaiian punch, double T in the morning, T squared, and Tua Tagovailoa goes out there, fries Georgia's secondary, has Kirby Smart dumbfounded, throws 3 touchdowns. It's a dog pile in the back of the end zone in overtime. Alabama wins 26-23. If you're the average Alabama fan, you're thinking, what more could I possibly need to see? I saw the epitome of winning the team right there. I saw the epitome of galvanizing the troops right there. I saw the epitome of taking the bull by the horns right there in one half of the most important game in college football. Saw it right there. But Nick Saban, playing it up, man. Playing it up. 2-quarterback system, and it will start this fall, go throughout spring. It'll start this spring, and go throughout spring, summer workouts to fall camp and the 2018 college football season. Now, before we get into the topic of this podcast, which is listing the pros and cons of playing 2 quarterbacks, let's just go over some background numbers on both guys, shall we? When you look at Jalen Hurts, 26-2 as a starter. And this stat is a bit overblown, is overrated because it takes everybody to win a game, though the quarterback is the main person with the ball in his hands the majority of the time. He's the one calling the shots the majority of the time. If you win, everybody's going to praise the quarterback. If you lose, everybody's going to take shots at the quarterback in a negative fashion. But with the weapons Alabama has on offense and the run game and at wide receiver, with the defense Alabama has, with the coaching staff Alabama has, I mean, you can pretty much put anybody at that quarterback position and they can have a successful record. I mean, Greg McElroy didn't lose a lot of games. A.J. McCarron was, 36-4 as a starter. Blake Sims didn't lose a lot of games. Jacob Coker didn't lose a lot of games. And Jalen Hurts, as you see here, has only lost 2 games. So, 2016, Southeastern Conference Offensive Player of the Year during his freshman season. As I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts has guided the University of Alabama to 2 national championship games. He had only 1 interception in 2017 and 17 touchdown passes. Very athletic, very confident in his legs. When he is moving, that's where he's the most confident. As far as standing still, observing the pocket, moving within the pocket, has issues, but very strong, very much so in control when he's got his feet, moving around, escaping the pocket, breaking containment. Strong character, very character-driven, good personality, just strong leadership type of a player. Coached by his father, Avarian Hurts was Jalen Hurts' coach in high school, and really the guy that taught him a lot of things in football. But one of the biggest knocks on Jalen Hurts, the fear of taking chances, is so much focused on protecting the ball, and Nick Saban wants you to protect the ball. He's always talking about the ball. It's always about the ball. But sometimes it's that fear of not making a mistake that takes away from just play the game. It's the fear of not making a mistake that you start to not trust in your own guys to make a play because you feel like, if I throw this ball, what if it gets picked off? If I throw this ball, what if it gets batted down? If if I throw this ball, what if something negative happens, versus let me give my guys, my 4- and 5-star prospects, my 4- and 5-star receivers, in which Alabama has recruited, a chance to make a play. When you flip this over to Tua, 5-star quarterback coming out of Hawaii. Multiple mentors. Tua has had his father mentor him in football, his high school coach, June Jones, former coach at the University of Hawaii. He's had Marcus Mariota work with him, and also Trent Dilfer at the Elite 11. Very faith-driven. Tua's faith allows him to be dynamic with the football. Tua's faith in divine intervention, his faith in God, his faith in Jesus Christ allows him to say, you know what? God gave me this gift. God gave me this confidence. And since I trust in God, I'm going to also trust in my teammates, because I know if I let go of this ball, if I give them a chance, they're going to make a play. Even if they don't catch the football, if I just give them a chance, they know, hey, this cat is rocking with me. This guy believes in me. This guy has faith that I'm going to catch the football. So he's faith-driven. Tagovailoa, the more pure passer. Once again, he led the University of Alabama to the win over Georgia for 3 touchdown passes in the title game. Also, like Jalen Hurts, Tua, very strong character. And he plays with no fear. Plays with no fear. Whatever happens, happens. He's going to go out there. He's going to take chances. He's going to take a lot of those calculated risks. Now, a lot of times when we do pros and cons of something, people want the pros first. But I'm going to give you the cons first to playing 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to give you the cons first and then get into the pros. So, the cons of playing 2 quarterbacks, especially where this comes in between Tua and Jalen. Number one, both quarterbacks do not have the same playing style. Normally in a 2-quarterback system, both guys do a lot of things similar. Both guys have the same kind of attributes. Between Jalen and Tua, as far as the on-the-field presence is concerned, they don't play with the same skill set. Jalen Hurts is more the athlete. He's the runner. He throws some, but he's the runner. He is most confident when he is on the run. If he's forced to stand back there in that pocket, move his feet, scan the entire field, read, react, there's a bit of a hang-up there. And we've seen that for 2 seasons. When he's on the run, he's confident, he's focused, he's locked in. Versus Tua's the more accurate passer. He can stand in that pocket, shuffle his feet. His eyes will go from option 1 to option 4 in the blink of a second. He will stand in that pocket. He will shuffle his feet. He will move. He will give a Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devonta Smith this past season, a Calvin Ridley, a Cam Sims, a Robert Foster. He will give those guys to the last possible moment to get open to make a play. Case in point, going back to the national championship game, remember there was a 4th and 2. Alabama in the red zone needed this touchdown, needed this play. Tua backing back, under pressure, buys time. Najee Harris being held like a blanket in the back of the end zone. I don't know why a flag was not thrown, but Tua at the last possible moment, Calvin Ridley has not even worked his way to the spot in question, but Tua believing if I let go of this ball, if I give Calvin a shot, Calvin's a 5-star, I know Calvin is going to work his way to the back of his end zone to make this play. Tua releasing the ball, Calvin the ability to work through traffic to make that catch. He is accurate. Tagovailoa is with the ball in his hands, firing the different receivers. Now, he can run. He is elusive, but he runs only when needed. Jalen Hurts is an instinct. If I don't see something open immediately, I'm gone. With Tua, he will stand in that pocket to the last possible second to throw the football. He will only run when needed. So the quarterbacks don't have that same playing style. That's number one. Number two, confusion for the offensive line and play calling. When you look at the offensive line for just a moment, it needs rhythm with a quarterback. The offensive line needs that one voice in the locker room, that one voice in the huddle, that one voice where when you're trying to call a play, you know the quarterback that's calling that play. And you need to be in rhythm with that quarterback, whether it's timing on the snap, timing and blitz protection scheme. You got to have that rhythm with that one quarterback. If you are constantly changing quarterbacks, switching guys in and out, then somewhere down the line, the timing on the snap count is going to get thrown off. The timing on blitz protection is going to get thrown off. That voice in the huddle is going to get thrown off, because if you're constantly switching between Jalen and Tua, the line doesn't know who's that alpha voice, who's that main voice, who's that voice that I got to stick with. So that's throwing off the timing of an offensive line. They're going to get confused. Also, when you look at the play calling, the offensive coordinators, and we're looking at Michael Locksley, also Josh Gaddis, who's serving as co-OC and wide receivers coach, and even Dan Enos, who's the associate head coach and quarterbacks coach. You're looking at two sets of plays. And that can be difficult because in certain situations, you're trying to bring Tua in for a pass play. And after that pass play, you got to bring Jalen back in. And when you bring Jalen back in, then Tua comes back in. You're going through two sets of plays. And the offense can kind of become stagnant with one if you're going through two sets of quarterbacks. And then at the same time, you're going to always have that one quarterback that feels like they're not getting the fair treatment. If you're going through two sets of plays with two sets of quarterbacks, somebody's going to get the short end of the stick because they feel like, okay, I'm moving the ball well. Why are you pulling this guy out and why are you pulling me out and putting this guy back in here if you see I'm moving the ball? If you see I'm creating positivity for our offense, we're getting first downs, we're moving the chains, a rhythm, a flow is being generated, and I'm pulled back out for the other guy, this completely hurts the chemistry of our offense because I'm moving the ball, and once I'm getting put out and the other guy gets put back in, there's stagnant, there's friction within the offense. So confusion for the offensive line, confusion in the play calling. And then number three is the old axiom, if you have two quarterbacks, you really don't have one. There's got to be one guy to win this job. At some point, there's got to be one guy to win this job. If you look at, Alabama tried to do this in 2011 with A.J. McCarron and Phillip Sims. One guy had to rise and win the job, and it was A.J. McCarron. You look at all those times where A.J. McCarron was the starting quarterback, and you had Alec Morris and Cooper Bateman and David Cornwell and Luke Del Rio and Parker McLeod. Somebody trying to win the job, it was A.J. McCarron. You look at when it was Jacob Coker and Blake Sims, the quarterback situation there, Blake Sims stepped up, took the job, took it over. Even in 2016 with Jalen Hurts, Blake Barnett, Cooper Bateman, David Cornwell, it was a push, but Jalen Hurts ended up winning that job. There's got to be one voice, one person, one individual that takes over and becomes the man. If you look at what happened at Ohio State a couple of years back or a few years ago when it had Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, and Cardale Jones all trying to run that quarterback deal, you would have Braxton Miller come in, he would come out, you would throw in J.T. Barrett in, he would come out, you would throw in Cardale Jones, and you were switching around so many quarterbacks that Ohio State could not get in a rhythm. Urban Meyer could not get his team in rhythm, and the team struggled that season because you had so many voices trying to be the main voice, and everybody was getting confused. You got to have one guy step up, emerge, take the reins, take the bull by the horns, be that guy to lead that football team to the goal that you're trying to get to, which in Alabama's case is a national championship. Now, before we get to the positive reasons, let's keep this in mind for just a moment. This is the first time in a while, or this is the first time ever, I should say, under Nick Saban at Alabama, where you've got a strong, dominant, special, lethal quarterback room in a sense of your backup quarterback is putting pressure on the starter. Think about that for just a moment. Phillip Sims did not put pressure on A.J. McCarron, right? Cooper Bateman, David Cornwell, Luke Del Rio, Parker McLeod, Alec Morris. No, these guys didn't put pressure on A.J. McCarron. David Cornwell, Cooper Bateman, they didn't put pressure on Jacob Coker. Blake Barnett, Cooper Bateman, David Cornwell, it was Jalen Hurts pressuring those guys. And in the same sense that Jalen Hurts was pressuring those guys to win the job in 2016, Jalen Hurts is getting that same pressure being put back on him right now, but the same difference is Tua Tagovailoa is way better than what Bateman, Cornwell, Barnett was. Bateman, Cornwell, Barnett are not even playing football right now. Tua Tagovailoa is playing football right now. You look at the pressure being put on him. I mean, none of these other guys in years past that were the starting quarterbacks or were returning as the starting quarterback never had the fear of their job being taken from them. Never had the fear of their job security being in question. There's a potential fear in Jalen Hurts when that job security is in question, to the point where the guy cuts off his hair. There is so much pressure being put on Jalen Hurts from Tua. Jalen Hurts has cut off the dreads. Dreads chopped off. I mean, once again, this is the backup quarterback that goes out there and beats Georgia in the second half of a national championship game. I mean, Kirby Smart can say all he wants to about we were preparing for both quarterbacks, you were looking for both quarterbacks. How in the world could you be preparing for both quarterbacks where there's absolutely no film, there's absolutely no trace of evidence on Tua that you could possibly look at? You're playing this guy on the fly, and you're playing this guy on the fly. Your defensive secondary, your linebackers, your defensive line does not know what to do because you don't know how to take him, because he's throwing the ball lethally east, west, north, south, and when he's not throwing the football, there's gaping holes for the running backs, Damian Harris, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, and the rest of the clique to run through, because you do not know how to take the backup quarterback, because you do not have film on him, because you have not studied him. For the first time, y'all, this type of pressure is being put on the incumbent starter, on the incumbent returner. So much that the odds makers out there in Vegas, Tua Tagovailoa, in the conversation to win the Heisman in 2018. Am I saying he wins? No, not necessarily, but definitely in the conversation. Now it's on to the pros for playing both quarterbacks. The pros, the positive things in playing both quarterbacks. Tua and Jalen have a genuine friendship, have a genuine relationship. I got a chance to talk to quite a few walk-ons, starting players during last season, and I was told, or I was given the vibe that you would think that with two highly touted prospects, Jalen Hurts, a 4-star from Houston, Texas, Tua, 5-star from Hawaii, that there would be some friction, some animosity, some hatred here or there, some negative talk here or there. And that's not the case. Both guys genuinely love each other, and you saw that in the national championship. Jalen Hurts could have instantly acted a stomp-down nut when he got pulled for Tua in the national championship game. I mean, this is a guy that's a 2-year starter that has led you, being the Alabama football program, to national championship games in back-to-back seasons. He could have said or done anything negative in this national championship game, but he chose to support, love, embrace, encourage, help out, pray with, pray for, pray alongside Tua Tagovailoa. The genuine friendship of these two. And seeing that, how both quarterbacks have that team-minded mentality that could work in a two-quarterback system. They can help each other out. They can sharpen each other. It's a big deal there, seeing that genuine friendship. Number two, and the positives of playing two quarterbacks, it keeps defenses and defensive-minded coaches guessing. Going back to the national championship game, you are putting defensive minds in a bind where they don't know how to solidly prepare. They cannot securely put a game plan together. They cannot securely find out who are we going to put our most attention to, because if Alabama's playing Jalen on this play, and then you go back to Tua, and then you play Jalen 2 plays later, then bring back in Tua, they don't know who to firmly implant their attention to. And when you don't know who to firmly implant your attention to, something's going to get the short end of the stick, and that thing that gets the short end of the stick, you're going to get burned by. So, you're keeping defenses and defensive-minded coaches guessing. That's a positive sign. And then, number three, and most importantly for a pro, if this is executed correctly, if this two-quarterback system is executed correctly, Alabama could definitely find a way to win a national championship with it. You use the strengths of both quarterbacks. You find out which ways, you find out how to work with Hurts' running ability and Tagovailoa's passing prowess. You get the offensive line familiar with both guys. There's a way you can get this done. And if it's executed the right way, if both egos can stay in line, if the team buys into it, and there's a way you can get that done, Alabama could definitely win a national championship with two quarterbacks, because you got two guys that do a lot of things really well. Once again, Hurts may not be the most polished passer, but his athletic ability makes him very hard to play. Tua is not the most dangerous of runners as Jalen is, but he can run, and the guy can whip it around the field. You find a way to harness both of those aspects together on one field, Bama can do some serious damage. I go back to that 2006 Florida Gators team with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. Chris Leak was the starter, but everybody knew he was the better passer. Tim Tebow, a bit more athletic, but everybody knew he was the runner. He was the situational passer in the red zone where the jump ball was concerned, the jump pass was concerned. And Florida was able to maneuver with that, work with that, run with that to a national championship victory. Going back over the pros here, both quarterbacks have that friendship. Playing the two-quarterback system keeps defensive minds guessing, keeps defenses guessing, opposing teams confused. And if it's executed correctly, Alabama has a chance to win a national championship. Then again, there are those cons. Both quarterbacks don't have the same playing style. You've got potential for confusion for the offensive line and the play calling scheme. And if you have to play two quarterbacks, do you really have one? Nick Saban has a decision to make. He's going to play this up, starting off spring ball, summer workouts, fall camp to the 2018 season. You've got a strong, healthy quarterback room where the backup is pushing the incumbent returning starter. Strap up, folks. If you haven't gotten you your Mountain Dew and a cookie yet, you might as well get it. This is going to be a very entertaining season coming up. We go to our first break here on In My Own Words, the podcast, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Stephen M. Smith. Upon our return, we go on the defensive side of the ball with Daron Payne gone to the National Football League. I have a three-man rotation or a three-man race to who fills in for him on that defensive line at that defensive tackle position. Don't touch that dial, folks. We'll be right back. It's your boy, Stephen M. Smith, host of In My Own Words, the podcast. If you are a fan of this show, then I encourage you to subscribe to the Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube channel. Also follow the brand on Facebook, Twitter, and other forms of social media as we continue to bring you the best in Alabama football and Crimson Tide athletics.